Malawi is facing a silent crisis. It does not feel silent now, does it? Its currency, the kwacha, is losing value. This is not a sudden shock. We have stared at this cliff for some time, like air leaking from a tire. It often goes unnoticed, but the impact is evident. Who doesn't like greener pastures? The grass surely looks greener anywhere else at the moment. Savings feel more like pocket money now when one looks at a new stove in game shops. The cost of essential goods rises. Dreams of a better future become more distant. The devaluation of the kwacha is a symptom of deeper economic problems. Malawi relies heavily on imports. It also receives substantial aid from foreign donors. This makes it vulnerable to global economic shocks and fluctuations in commodity prices. The silent crisis of serial currency devaluation is a serious threat to Malawi's economic stability. It undermines investment. It fuels inflation. It deepens inequality. It demands attention. It demands action. Imagine you are an investor. You want to put your money in a place where it will grow. You look at Malawi. You see a country with potential. But you also see intentional serial currency devaluations. What do? For many investors, the answer is simple. They look elsewhere. Serial currency devaluations send a clear signal. This economy is unstable. This instability makes investment risky. Why take a chance when there are safer, more predictable options? Would an international investor look at the MSE? The MSE is small, even by African standards. It suffers from low liquidity and a limited range of listed companies. Currency devaluation makes these problems worse. When the kwacha falls, the value of investments on the MSE also falls. This is especially true for foreign investors. They need to convert their kwacha back into their own currency. Each devaluation eats into their profits. This makes the MSE unattractive. Capital flight is like a silent exodus. It happens when investors lose faith in an economy. They pull their money out, they move it to safer havens. This flight of capital has a devastating impact on stock markets, and the MSE is no exception. One of the biggest problems caused by capital flight is a lack of liquidity. Liquidity refers to how easily assets can be bought or sold without affecting their price. When capital flees, it becomes harder to buy and sell shares on the MSE. This makes the market less efficient and less attractive to investors. Foreign direct investment, FDI, also dries up. FDI is crucial for developing economies like Malawi. It brings in much-needed capital, it creates jobs, it boosts economic growth. But when investors are worried about currency risk and instability, they are less likely to invest directly in Malawian businesses. The shortage of forex is one of the unwanted signs of the damage caused by serial currency devaluation. It creates a vicious cycle. Devaluation leads to capital flight. Capital flight further weakens the economy. This makes future devaluation more likely. Breaking this cycle is essential for the future of the Malawian economy. Malawi's dependence on imports is a major contributor to its forex woes. The country relies heavily on foreign goods, from basic necessities to machinery and fuel. Every time someone buys an imported item, it puts pressure on the kwacha. International travel, while important for tourism and business, also plays a role. When Malawians travel abroad, they need foreign currency. This increases demand for forex and puts downward pressure on the kwacha. The irony is that devaluation, while intended to make exports cheaper, often fails to curb imports. Demand for imported goods remains stubbornly high, partly due to a lack of local alternatives and ingrained consumer preferences. This further strains forex reserves, perpetuating the cycle of devaluation. This dependence on imports and the forex drain from international travel highlight a structural weakness in the Malawian economy. Addressing this weakness requires a shift towards local production, import substitution, and promoting domestic tourism. The devaluation myth. Why exports don't always benefit. There's a common misconception that currency devaluation is good for exports. The logic is simple. A weaker currency makes exports cheaper, therefore boosting demand. However, this is often not the case, especially for countries like Malawi. Why? Because devaluation also increases the cost of imported inputs. Many Malawian exporters rely on imported raw materials, machinery and spare parts. When the kwacha falls, their production costs rise, negating any price advantage gained from the devaluation. Furthermore, Malawi lacks a structured policy framework for forex retention. This means that even if exporters earn more foreign currency, it doesn't necessarily translate into increased forex reserves for the country. The lack of a clear strategy to manage and retain forex earnings perpetuates the cycle of dependence and vulnerability to external shocks. The reality is that devaluation alone is not a magic bullet for boosting exports in Malawi, nor is it a magic wheel from Hogwarts that will steer the economy in the right direction. It needs to be part of a broader economic strategy that addresses structural issues, promotes value addition, and ensures that export earnings contribute to overall economic stability. Beyond the rich, a holistic look at some of the catalyst. Capital flight is often portrayed as something only the wealthy engage in. While it's true that large corporations and high-net-worth individuals have more resources to move money out of the country, the reality is that everyday activities contribute to the forex drain. Think about it. Every time someone buys imported groceries, clothes, or electronics, it contributes to the demand for foreign currency. You just bought an iPhone 6 months ago. Do you really need a new one? They don't make classics anymore. What happened to sentiment? Every time a student pays international tuition fees or a family sends remittances abroad, it puts pressure on the kwacha. Even businesses contribute to capital flight, often unintentionally, through a practice known as forex hoarding. A little white lie? I didn't know I had millions. I tell you, in my forex account. Faced with currency volatility, businesses tend to hold on to their foreign currency reserves instead of exchanging them for kwacha. This creates an artificial shortage of forex in the formal market, further weakening the local currency. Addressing capital flight requires a multi-pronged approach. It involves promoting local production and consumption, encouraging the use of local currency, and creating a more stable and predictable economic environment that reduces the incentive for both individuals and businesses to seek refuge in foreign currency. Policy consistency, the key to restoring investor confidence. Investors, both local and foreign, crave predictability. They need to trust that the rules of the game won't change overnight. To restore confidence, Malawi needs to establish a track record of policy consistency. This means creating a stable and predictable economic environment where investors can plan for the long term without fear of sudden changes in regulations, taxation, or monetary policy. Policy consistency is not just about attracting foreign investment, it's also about creating a level playing field for local businesses. When businesses operate in a predictable environment, they can focus on growth, innovation, and job creation, ultimately benefiting the entire economy. The future of investment in Malawi, a question of trust. Can Malawi rebuild trust in its economy? Can it convince investors, both local and foreign, that it's a safe and profitable place to put their money? This is not just a question for policymakers and economists. It's a question for all Malawians. Everyone has a role to play in creating a more stable and prosperous future. By supporting local businesses, demanding accountability from leaders, and advocating for sound economic policies, Malawians can help create an environment where investment can flourish.